Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and we're here to do my tips and predictions for round 12 of the 2022 NRL season. Now, this just isn't another round. I know as of late we've had quite a few different sort of rounds, like Magic Round and such, but for this round, it is Indigenous round. So we're celebrating all of the Indigenous players in the NRL. There's plenty of them. There's so many of them. Go through all the clubs. You can find at least a couple with some of the absolute superstars. Anyways, we're not going to waste any more time with the intro. We're going to roll straight into these tips and predictions. Going to start off with the first game. It's not quite the Battle of Brookvale, but it is the same two sides. It's the Melbourne Storm taking on the Manly Warringah Seagulls. Bit of a different sort of feel for this game. Last year, like Tom Trbojevic was killing it, Melbourne were killing it. Right now, going into this game, Melbourne's not really doing that well, although Jerome Hughes is back for them. They've pretty much got their full-strength side, not quite full-strength side, but they've got a very, very good side out compared to the last couple of weeks. But they go into this game on a two-game losing streak. I can't really think of the last time that I've really talked about Melbourne in that sort of way. Kind of similar to like when Penrith lose. You go in after that and you're like, I can't even remember talking about them bouncing back. Same with the Storm. I can't really remember too many times, but they've had to bounce back. Manly, on the other hand, have been absolutely terrible this year. Trbojevic is out for the season. I've already done a video on that. We just know this is going to be a long day in the office for Manly. It's played in Melbourne. I expect Melbourne to absolutely smash them, especially if all the big guns actually do play. Obviously, Pappenhausen isn't going to be there, but I think they can manage that. They've done it before. But look, Jerome Hughes, as long as he plays, I think they absolutely towel up Manly. I think they smash him. 13 plus at least. Now into the second game of the round, which I think could be match of the round. It's the Penrith Panthers taking on the North Queensland Cowboys, a top 4 clash. Now I noticed that Channel 9 actually last week did a thing where they included Roosters as like a top 4 side. They are not a top 4 side. You know who is? The North Queensland Cowboys. Picked up a fantastic victory against Melbourne Storm last week. Although I will say they haven't actually had to travel outside of Queensland really. This would be the first time all year that they've actually gone to New South Wales. So they have had a fairly easy draw in that sense. Not team-wise in terms of who they're actually taking on, but just in terms of travel. But I mean, Cowboys, they're usually one of the teams that travel the most anyway. So I feel like this is one of the few years I'll let it slide. But they are playing some absolutely fantastic football. However, I don't see them beating Penrith. I just don't see it happening. Penrith are just too good, too clinical. Even if times are tough for Penrith, they still find a way to win. I don't think the game's going to be actually that tough for Penrith. I feel like Penrith are going to win this one. I think they will win 13 plus. Tumwala out for the Cowboys. I just can't see a world in which Penrith lose to the Cowboys. And I don't know if that's because the Cowboys, like before the season, I thought they were going to be a bottom 4 side. In the previous years, they have been. I don't know if there's like a bit of bias because I'm just not used to them being up there. But just Penrith up against the Cowboys, it just screams to me a win for Penrith. So I am going to be going Penrith 13 plus. Now into the next game, it is the Brisbane Broncos taking on the Gold Coast Titans. Bit of a rivalry game. I mean, the Titans up against the Broncos. As of late, last couple of seasons, Titans, I feel like have had the wood on the Broncos in terms of at least being like the better side overall. Maybe not so much the actual games themselves, but just in terms of the actual standings on the ladder and stuff, Titans have been a little bit better. But at the moment, Broncos absolutely flying. Everything points to a Broncos victory here. I feel like Titans are good enough to push them for a bit, but Broncos are in such good form, man. They are just playing so good. When you look at teams who I actually enjoy watching, and it feels weird because I don't really tend to like the Broncos very often these days, but when I watch them, I just find them so good to watch. They are just so entertaining, I guess. So, look, I don't know if it's more so I want the Broncos to win, but I feel like the Broncos are definitely going to win this one. Titans just too inconsistent. I mean, they can get wins, of course, but I just don't see it happening against the Broncos. I know Adam Reynolds hasn't been named for the Broncos and most likely won't play, but I feel like even with Reynolds out, Ezra Mann, he showed enough that I feel like he can actually get the job done. He's very different to Adam Reynolds, but I think the Broncos have so much confidence right now. Kind of reminds me of Manly last year, where like when Trbojevic was out at the start of the season, they looked terrible. He comes in, the confidence boosts, the rest of the team starts playing well, and then, you know, they can still win without him. I feel like with the Broncos, if Adam Reynolds had started the season missing like 5 or 6 games or something, and then they came in or whatever, I'd probably have a little bit more doubt over them, but it's just the fact that they're playing with so much confidence at the moment. I feel like they can get the job done against most teams. So with that being said, I am going to be going the Broncos. I feel like this actually be a fairly close one. I feel like Titans will be able to score a couple of points here. I feel like it's going to be 1-12. Broncos 1-12, but I still feel like it'll be a fairly comfortable game for the Broncos. Now moving on to Super Saturday, we have the New Zealand Warriors taking on the Newcastle Knights. Now I feel like this game could either be a really, really good game or be the absolute drizzling shit. I don't know which one it's going to be. Probably more so the latter. I feel like the Warriors are so hot and cold. The Knights are more so cold than hot. I really don't know what to say about this game or who to pick, because both sides have shown at times they can be quite good, but they've also shown at times they can be absolutely terrible. Knights and Warriors have both had like 50 odd put on them, probably a couple times actually. Both sides just they've looked absolutely terrible, like I said. But at other times they've also picked up some pretty impressive victories. I really don't know who to pick here. I'm looking at the lineups. There's nothing that's really screaming out either one's gonna win. You know what I mean? But look, Milford's back for the Knights. A bit of hit and miss last week, but he's got a game under his belt. I think I'm going to have to go the Warriors. I know it's not really a home game, but it is a home game for them. Reece Walsh there. I think Sean Johnson there as well. I think they'll be able to get the job done. I don't think it will be a great victory, but I think it will be a victory nonetheless. So, Warriors 1-12. Now to the second game of Super Saturday. It sees the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the West Tigers. Now, generally this is actually a pretty good game. In the past, it's been a very good game. Obviously, the Tigers beat the Rabbitohs this year. I feel like Tigers can definitely do it again. They didn't look that good last week up against a pretty poor Bulldogs side. They probably should have beat the Tigers, but they did get the sin bin call towards the end, which really did shift the game. But they weren't looking too flash, and I feel like the Tigers have a tendency to do that, but they don't seem to do it against the Rabbitohs. So everything to me is like Rabbitohs should win this one, but I keep saying that every week, and Rabbitohs come out and lose, and then the Tigers, they just, for some reason, they hurt the Rabbitohs. I don't know how to put it. So yeah, form-wise and all that, very hard to get a read on these sides, but just something's telling me that the Tigers are going to win this one. I think Jackson Hastings, I think he's going to lead into a victory. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it'll be 1-12, but Rabbitohs have been so lackluster this year. That's all I'm going to say about them, but I think Tigers are going to get the job done. Jackson Hastings is the man. Now to the last game of Super Saturday. It actually is probably going to be one of the better games of the round. I won't say it is the match of the round, but one of the better ones. It sees the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks taking on the Sydney Roosters. Once again, two sides who have shown a little bit of potential, but have also shown that they don't quite have it all together. Sharks made a lot of signings, started off the season pretty hot. Nico Hines was going good. McInnes looked pretty good. You had Dale Finucane there as well. Everybody was talking about them being a premiership threat. I feel like that's really died down a lot. Same can be said for the Roosters. All of the premiership talks about them. They were my pick to win the premiership. I feel like that's really died. For the first time in quite a while, there's been a fair bit of pressure on the Roosters, but also like at the same time, there's not really been a lot of pressure. I don't really understand why there's not been more talk about how disappointing the Roosters have been. I mean, they lost to the Bulldogs for God's sake, but just looking at the lineups, like Will Kennedy is back for the Sharkies, Matty Moylan, Nico Hines, they're sort of back to their normal outfit. Last week they did look really good. I thought the fullback looked pretty good coming in for him, the Sevens guy. I thought he looked really good, Miller. But at the same time, Will Kennedy's been around for quite a few seasons now. I think they were going to be a better side with him in the side. Looking at the Roosters one, like I'm just trying to find a reason why a team's going to win. For me, pretty much the only sort of thing I can look at and go, all right, that's a clear weakness, is the hooker position for the Roosters. Drew Hutchison's playing there. No Connor Watson, at least he's on the bench. So you got Connor Watson on the bench, and Verrills is still not there. So I'm going to go the Sharks for this one. I feel like I need to go the Sharks. Sharks has shown way more throughout the season. I keep expecting Roosters to just explode, and it's just not happening. So I can't sit here and talk about the Roosters. You know, if they play really well, they'll win. Because like you can say that about any team. So I'm going to go with the Sharks. I think they have the smart money. I think it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be 1-12 in my opinion. So yeah, Sharkies 1-12. Now moving on to the next game, which is on Sunday. A game I am super invested in. It's Mike Henry Bankstown Bulldogs taking on the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Now in the past, Bulldogs, no matter how they are playing, kind of similar to what I was saying with the Tigers, but they seem to trouble the Dragons. And the Dragons aren't really travelling that well. Bulldogs obviously just terrible really. Lost the game against the Tigers last week. They should have won. Looking at the lineups, like Matt Duffy is still on the side. I like Karaz being in there. Josh Adokar back for him. Matt Burton had probably his best game last week. There are some promising signs to the Bulldogs, but there's only so much you can do with promising signs. You need to see the full thing. I can't see some signs. I do need to tip the Dragons for this one, as much as I want to say the Bulldogs are going to win. It is at Belmore though, so that should be worth mentioning. Hopefully the crowd can get behind them. I feel like a guy like Josh Adokar, and even guys like Burton, and there's quite a few players in the Bulldogs who I think will really thrive of playing in front of this Belmore crowd. Because in the past, when we play at Belmore, it's just like you would think it would spur the players on, but it just seems like it's too much pressure or something. We always seem to play terrible, but I'm thinking that the Dragons, I think they will probably end up winning this one, but I feel like we're really going to push them. I know it doesn't really say much because it is the Dragons pushing the Dragons, but I don't know, there's a little bit of talk about Sloan being on the outer at the Dragons, so I don't know if there's a little bit of discontent, but look, I think in terms of this game, Dragons will get the job done. I don't really have a real reason why Dragons haven't been that good, but I mean, Ben Hunt's still on the side, so I'm guessing on Dragons 1-12. And now moving on to the last game of the round. I think this is actually going to be a really, really good game, but it sees the Canberra Raiders at home taking on the Parramatta Eels. Now, both of these sides, once again, there's so many sides I'm talking about being so hot and cold. I didn't think the Raiders were going to be one of them. If it was a couple of weeks ago, I would have just talked about them just being straight up bad, but last couple of weeks, they have really, really found some form, picking up victory last week. I'm actually been kind of somewhat impressed with the Raiders' turnaround. It sort of reminds me a lot of how they were playing a couple of years ago when they actually were a top 4 side. Not quite to that level, but just in terms of them just actually performing rather than sort of looking like they can do it for a couple of minutes and then just dying. But then you got the Eels, who find themselves in 6th spot, a spot that I didn't think they were going to be in. I had them tipped to be the minor premiers, and at the start of the season, this looked like a pretty good call, but it's kind of fell away quite a bit. They have shown, once again, they've shown signs that they can do it. They've beat the Panthers. They're pretty much the only team who can really threaten those teams like the Storm and Panthers, but at the same time, a game like this against the Raiders, this screams out to me a game that the Parramatta are going to lose. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of a roughie here, a little bit of I don't know if this is a bad move, but I'm actually going to tip the Raiders. I think the Raiders at home, I think, if it's cold, if the weather isn't that great, I think they can get into a grindy sort of game, and I think they can get the job done. I really do. If they're going to win, I think it's going to be 1-12, but something about this game just tells me that the Raiders are going to win it. Anyways, those are my tips and predictions for this week. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your tips and predictions for this round? Are they going to be better than mine? Am I just absolutely terrible? Most likely terrible, but we'll see how we go. But like I said, leave in the comment section below your thoughts on the round, thoughts on the Indigenous round. Name some of your favourite Indigenous players. I think that could be fun. Obviously, mine's Josh Adokar, but let me know in the comment section below who's your favourite Indigenous player. Anyways, guys, that's where I'm going to wrap things up. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure you use the notification bell. Don't rely on sub boxes. Use the notification bell and never miss any of my videos. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and chuck me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT for the most part. My Facebook's Mr. Luke, but everything else, including Snapchat, including TikTok, is Mr. Luke on YT. Give me a follow, give me an ad, do all that sort of stuff. Also, speaking of stuff, become a member of the channel. It really supports me, it really helps me out. You becoming a member helps me out more than anything that YouTube can ever provide. So, look, it really does mean a lot to me. Everybody who is a current member, it really does mean a lot to me. You click on the link in the description below. You've probably seen something on the screen right now, or you have already. You just look at all the tiers, pick out one, become a member of the channel, or at least consider it. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content on the channel. State of Origin is just around the corner, so going to be doing plenty of videos. Probably going to be quite a tiring time for me, but we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. See yous.